control systems, and also they swapped out the German machine guns for a couple of their C6 GMPGs. Daylight conditions, so they look to upgrade. What they do is they buy 123 185s from the German army. Going on, they're going to really have to radio for some assistance here, because we can't leave missiles in the interwar period that can recover tanks, but it's not until April 1942 that the British, unsurprisingly, the Commandant fails in this, so it's really the Churchill that goes forward. Then they get the Grant ARV, the Sherman, and the Cromwell. These are the key ones. They realise that the tanks to recover the tanks need to be used. The Germans in the same year, September, really looking at September 1942, they're looking at Tiger Company and realise this is the problem as well, that they need to have a recovery vehicle. And so they look at the number of recovery vehicles for Tiger, and they call it the VK35.1. And there are 4 or 5
Slips off the tongue.
Now, no one can find any evidence of them actually being complete or going into active service. But the Germans do go on to have their own, what they call Bergepanzers. And these are, so we have Panzer 3, Panzer 4s, we have the Panzer 38, and in the mid-1943, we get the Bergepanzer. So they have them, but they just don't seem to have them for the Tigers. They also had them for the Elephant, and had 3 of those for them, but they don't have them for the Tigers. So it's 20 years later, when we get to the Bundeswehr, the West German Army, they're looking for an armoured recovery vehicle for their new development of their new Leopards. They've already got the M88A1 to recover their M47s and M48s, but they need a vehicle that can recover their Leopard 1s. And that here is a 4-man crew. We've got a driver, a commander, and then 2 mechanics. And what they're going to do now is recover the broken down vehicle that we've got here, the Leopard C2. And they're going to take off the back there 2 of the towing bars, so they can connect it to the shackles at the front of the actual Leopard 2. Now, the interesting thing with the Bergepanzers here is you've got a dozer blade at the front, which you can use as an earth anchor. Behind that, in the front as well, is a 2-speed winch, which can lift up to 69 tons. Pull up to 69 tons. On the right-hand side as well, you've got the crane, which can lift up to 20 tons, metric tons. And then you've got this rear door at the back there, which holds stowage, so it can hold cutting kit, it can hold additional things like chainsaws, etc. All the bits you need to recover a vehicle. And what the crew are doing at the moment is they're attaching their bars to the shackles at the front. Now these will need 2 pins going in, and then locking pins going in to make sure that they're just hammering it in now. And these are the shackles at the front. They'll then put them together so they can fit onto the rear, onto the hook at the rear of the actual Bergepanzer itself. Now he's got to reverse back. He's going to do that. So they're going to put these pins back in as well here, and he's going to actually put that into position. Now the Germans started to design this in 1962, and of course, they first sent to the German Army, West German Army, in 1966. They built 632 of them. So there's a lot of them, and there's about 6,500 Leopard 1s being built, so it's roughly 10% that are available. So what it's going to need to do now is start to reverse and pick it up, and then hook it onto the back of the actual vehicle itself. Now, Bergepanzers and ARVs are there to recover vehicles that have got bogged down, that have been disabled or knocked down. They have armour, so this Bergepanzer has 40 mils worth of armour, protection at the front. It's a very capable vehicle, and it's got the ability to tow roughly 43 tons, which is what the C2 weighs, so that's very handy as well. So they're just slowly moving it back in. It's all got to be done carefully. You want to take your time so you can hook it up properly and not waste any time. Because what they're going to need to do is get this off quite well and get it off at a speedy rate so it's not sitting around. So they're bringing it back now, slowly bringing it back. Drivers being told what to do, it's getting hand signals to see what's going on. Just got to be very careful, it's very minute to a movement's coming back there and getting it to hook up. Here we go, starting to get the shackle onto the actual hook here. Slowly, a little bit more, there it's on. Now you're going to put some locking pins in as well to make sure it's all held in, a couple on each side, make sure everything's there and fixed in place, and then you've got a very good towing platform to actually tow it. Now, you can see here one of the crew members of the Leopard C2 has gone to the rear. He's gone to the actual drive sprocket here. He's taken the cap off the centre, and what he's doing is he's putting effectively a tool key into the final drive. He's effectively disconnecting temporarily the final drive and the gearbox from the actual drive itself. So when the actual tank moves forward, it can pull it freely without being stuck in gear. This has been worked out to be approximately 27 turns on each drive sprocket. So he's now going to go around and repeat that on the other side. The only thing holding this in place at the moment then is the handbrake. So once they want to move, the driver will take that handbrake off and then that can move at speed. Obviously they put the actual gun into the rear facing position as well to make it a lot easier. It can go into the gun crutch if it needs to. That helps the tank obviously not foul the front of the actual of the ARV itself. Now the Leopard C2 can also have its engine changed. They reckon they can do an engine pack in say 30 minutes. The problem with the C2 is we've got this additional armour, which is a feature of the Leopard 185, and it's this additional bolted armour onto the turret. You have to remove one of these pieces to get access to the engine bay. So it does take up to 30 minutes for the Leopard C2. But this is what a really, really innovative design, and as I said, 75% of that ARV, the Bergepanzer, is capable, or it fits in with what was actually on the Leopard. And it's designed with that 830 horsepower MTU diesel engine to power it around. The problem comes for the Bergepanzer 2 when they update it, when they bring out the Leopard 2. That has a far higher weight of 55 tonnes, and that's when the Bergepanzer 2 starts to struggle. They're really good when they're dealing with tanks of the same weight as the actual tanks themselves, but they struggle when it is actually a higher weight. Now you can just see here the gun's just going into the gun crutch stand. You want to make sure it's locked in place. Just coming into position. As we raise it again, slowly but surely.
Off the Tiger.
And when that's ready in place,
yeah.
I hope you can lock it in place. There we are, just coming down a little bit more pressure on it. And then it can be locked in place, and then that allows you to actually drive off. There we are, it's been locked in place. And then the handbrake will be released, and then the tank will be towed off to the repair facility, and we can see what the problem was. There you go, it's just been tightened on the top there. So, this gives you an idea of the recovery speed it takes to actually recover vehicles, truck vehicles that have been either broken down or the recovery on the roadside, run out of fuel, etc. The other thing that the Bergepanzer can carry is it will also carry fuel and defueling pumps if it needs to refuel the actual tank or defuel if it takes fuel left. So it's capable of doing that. So it's a very capable vehicle. And the commander there has his own components, so he can command that. The front mechanic sits next to the side of the tank commander, and he has a machine gun and a ball mount there. That's one of the armaments. And they'll have a second machine gun, an MG3, on the top as well. The rear mechanic sits facing to the rear, but here he goes going off there. Canadians as well, that would have gone to Bosnia, Afghanistan. It would have been used pretty much anywhere the Canadians went. Now they did variants of them as well. There's the Bergepanzer 2A2. That was one that was designed for the Leopard Leopard, the anti-aircraft, two anti-aircraft guns. That's because that had a heavier turret. The other use of that with the Bergepanzer 2 was it was being used as well. We see a development with the British Army with the Leopard. This is being reused with the Royal Marines, and 4 of them were being used as a beach armoured recovery vehicle. So the British Army actually, the Royal Marines had